Oh gosh, alchemy. It can be a tedious task sometimes, gathering up all these ingredients. And in the vanilla game, that meant opening and, manually dragging and dropping ingredients from containers into your inventory. Even with graphic herbalism, there's still just a ton of clicking. Like, you have to still, click on each container plant in order to harvest them. If only there was an easier way to just harvest ingredients, like if you could just walk past them and automatically gather those ingredients. Well, that brings me to today's mod of the day, which today is Auto Harvest by Krimson, which pretty much does exactly that. Now, when you're out walking around Morrowind, or, doing adventures, you'll just automatically harvest all the ingredients around you. No clicking involved, and no having to pause the adventure to just, wade through a bog in order to harvest just a few container plants. Now, just walking by is, sufficient to just automatically harvest all those ingredients. And this is a huge convenience and a slice of life mod for alchemists. Like, a huge part of alchemy in the vanilla game was just going through and clicking on just a ton of plants and containers. That was, mostly what alchemy was going around collecting flowers, mushrooms, and, all that stuff. Well, and especially for Jira, who was too lazy to actually go out into the field. Now, by the time that you get to Ajira, you'll probably already have enough flowers and mushrooms for her quests, just by auto-harvesting everything around you. And there are just a few limitations to this auto-harvesting. Notably, this doesn't affect owned containers, so you don't have to worry about accidentally committing a crime just by walking by. And this is just limited to plant-based organic containers. It doesn't impact any other kind of container in the game. So, minerals, crates, barrels, that sort of thing, none of that is auto-harvested. Only organic containers that are plant-based. And this does come with a mod config with just a number of settings that you can adjust. So, by default, the distance that you need to be in order to harvest a plant just automatically is about 10 to 15 feet. So, that's fairly close. You have to actually walk by it in order to harvest it. But you could adjust this so that you could, theoretically just enter a exterior cell and automatically harvest every ingredient in that cell. That's like the maximum setting, but again, the default here is about 10 to 15 feet. You can also adjust the interval between scanning for auto-harvesting. So by default, that's set to 10 seconds, which personally I found to be a bit long. That means that you won't actually harvest all the ingredients that you're walking by. It'll only harvest ingredients every 10 seconds. I found an interval of about 5 seconds worked, pretty good for actually catching all the ingredients that I was walking by. And in addition to this, you can also just turn the mod on or off at any time, which is pretty handy. So, if your inventory is getting just a bit full, you can just turn off auto-harvesting. Or, if you are getting just maybe a bit annoyed at all the ingredients just popping into your inventory, again, you can just, turn it off at any time. So, you can be strategic about this, and only turn it on when you actually need to harvest a ton of ingredients. There's also a blacklist here that allows you to, just add any particular plants that you want to the blacklist. By default, everything that isn't a organic, plant-based container is already blacklisted. But this doesn't necessarily account for mods. If you have a heavily modded game like I do, you might run into a few just somewhat comical situations. Like I kept, just by accident, auto-harvesting a -1 shirt because there was a mod that added in some organic, merchant-based respawning containers. And apparently for shirts, a -1 shirts, evidently. So, that is something that you might want to manually adjust is if you have a ton of mods installed, you could just manually adjust and add any containers that those mods add to the blacklist. And speaking of mods, this is just automatically compatible with both graphic herbalism and Terraria built. So this works with pretty much everything, and is again just a really handy and convenient mod. Some might consider this to be a bit on the cheaty side, but graphic herbalism does, something kind of similar in that, it eliminates a huge amount of the time that it takes to harvest ingredients. This just goes a step further, and arguably, that gives you more time to actually play the game instead of just, manually harvesting ingredients, doing all that tedious work. So, it's up to you. Again, this is a mod that can be turned on or off at any time, and that's pretty much just everything that Auto Harvest does here. So, that's our mod of the day, and as always, I've been your host, Dark Elf Guy. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.